Hello everyone, welcome to my Future Africa. If this is your first time on our channel, we encourage you to subscribe to us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Rumble. Today we'll be making a video about the massive oil theft that's taking place in Nigeria, or which has been taking place for years. For the past few months, the government of Nigeria have been looking for avenues to raise money because of the global inflation, the global recession, all the issues that's taking place globally, including the crisis in Europe between Russia and Ukraine. And this has caused the government to look very deeply into areas that they had previously ignored. And lo and behold, the Nigerian government has been able to uncover syndicates within the country, cells within the country, corrupt practice within the country that is really huge. Over 500,000 barrels of oil is being stolen out of Nigeria within the space of 6 months. That's saying roughly 1 million barrels of oil is being stolen annually, and no one even knows how long this has been taking place. This could have been taking place for the past 20 years. This could have been taking place for longer than that. But we'll let you to watch these videos and pretty much see these for yourself and see the amount or the level of corruption that's taking place in Nigeria that has done so much damage to the country as a result of bad governance.
Oil in Nigeria is being stolen by people in government. Nobody can steal oil. It's not a sweet. You can't go into grocery shop and steal something and put it in your pocket and go away on your back. You can't steal oil like that. For you to steal oil, a ship has to come into your territorial waters, load the oil. And no ship can go into a nation's territorial waters without the approval of its navy. And you load it. For you to leave, you have to have approval. And everybody knows where every ship is on the surface of the earth. It's something that is recorded. So, if somebody is able to take away oil, there's a high level connivance between external and internal people who have organized for the oil to leave. And you can even trace the oil to where it is offloaded. So it's not something, it's not an easy thing to steal. It can only be done officially.
So, Baba, you hear of Peter Obi interview yesterday now, when he say government they plan to arrest him because he say na government they steal oil for Nigeria. Baba, the man they right. I'll show you some things now. I did on board a unanimous vessel. I no go like to mention name. This ship where they see so now VLCC. As you can see, I'm a very large cargo carrier. Look out. You see the size of the ship. You see the size. This ship where they see if you carry 1 million barrels minimum. At least give and take minimum 1 million barrels of crude oil. Now there is something called the AIS. We have all these things. Now they take track vessel. All these things. Every navy of every country in the world get these things. All these things. The moment a vessel enter your territorial water, this thing goes see. The moment any vessel, even from like 1,000 miles from your port, they go down see say they come. All these things they take on the track vessel. You see all those green things there. Now vessels the way they come the place where I did, then still they far, but this thing don't catch them. Say then they come. Now all these things now things where they track vessel. This particular one now, this one is called GPS, Global Positioning System. Then the other one I first show now, this one are the AIS, Automatic Identification System. Now you see all these things there is another one where they call Long Range Identification Tracker, LRIT. Now there is no way ship of this magnitude, ship of this size, go enter Nigeria, load crude oil, sail out without being noticed. And they tell us that nobody know when he come, nobody know when he go. You understand me? Already the moment any ship just dey approach your territorial water, the navy from the control room go don see am. You understand? But to say navy no know when ship come go, nobody know when ship come go, custom no know when ship come go. Abba. Make dem tell those things to the dust now. How can you be talking to people as if say we be as if say we dey daft, as if say we be fool? So when Peter Obi say na government dey steal oil, nobody. The man dey very right. So this small thing I just show you now, this thing I just show you. Look at the size of this ship. Look at the size of this ship. How can something like this enter our territorial water and nobody notice am with all these gadgets? This one na ship o. Na ship on be this. The ones wey go dey for navy control room go pass this ones. You dey see am.
But where the GMD of the NNPCL said this has been on for more than 22 years, but they discovered this pipe that's been there for about 13 years or thereabouts.
Well, they keep changing their story. So we also need to question their credibility. They started with it was 7 years, then they claimed it was 9 years. How come you know how long it is if you didn't put it there? There are a few things that are clear that nobody can question. We had the case of the African Pride, marine tanker African Pride, that we lost. I'm not sure the right choice of words. We lost in Navy custody. How the Nigerian Navy loses a marine tanker that was arrested for crude oil theft. I think that was 2004 or thereabouts. So the case of the MT African Pride is there. 2 or 3 naval admirals got sacked on that case, and there were allegations of $5 billion in bribe on that case. So that's why I say I'm not surprised. It's nothing new.
So $5 million in bribe.
Yes.
And somebody was, someone bailed the cat, so to speak.
Yes, I like your choice of words.
Now, if someone,
I think 2 admirals.
got the raps for that.
2 admirals.
Some people
Yes.
got the raps for that, and they gave bribes. Wasn't there any investigation to say, okay, these are the people that were also involved in this?
Well, the way this thing is, from my point of view, I don't want to assert what I'm not 100% sure of, because this is criminal, so it's underground. But we can give scenarios. The way this thing is, it's a rogue cop situation. That's what it is. It's a rogue cop situation. So the policeman that is supposed to arrest the armed robber is the armed robber himself. So who will arrest the armed robber?
My turn to say, I like your choice of words, rogue cop.
It's a rogue cop situation.
Which brings me to the oil platform, where this latest, oil theft has been discovered, belonging to Shell. Can Shell afford to stand back and be neutral amid this theft? Should questions be asked of Shell, and should we be getting answers?
It's clearly a very large syndicate of syndicates. This is not easy to do.
What is not easy to do?
Oil theft on this scale. Of course, on the scale of what you people call illegal refineries, that I call pollution plants, because as a professional, I can't call those things refineries. They are pollution plants.
Well, the NNPC calls them cooking pots.
Okay. But the media calls them illegal refineries. I find that not suitable, because the damage they are doing is very significant. It seems to mitigate the level of damage they are doing. So those ones are stealing crude. There's no question.
Who are those ones?
The pollution plants that we call illegal refineries.
But you haven't answered her question about should Shell be answering questions?
I'm trying to link it all, because crude oil theft is not only this export level, which is the biggest level. There's also that level of so many pollution plants stealing at so many different points. Speaking professionally, in any typical design and typical operation, the lines have meters on your source and have meters on your sink. That's number one. Number two, lines have performance. So the engineers in charge and even the operators know the performance of their lines. If you compromise any line, operator should know. Because, for example, the first thing you notice is the pressure drop. Second thing is that your metering at your source and your metering at your sink has disparity. So it's impossible to do these things. These things only happen in Nigeria.
So now...
It's impossible to do these things.
Impossible to do what?
This oil theft is impossible, but it happens in
Essentially,
Nigeria.
what are you saying by that? That some the hunter is also the hunter?
Oh yes, that's the Road Cup, number one. Okay. Secondly, I'm saying it's a syndicate of syndicates.
So when you say syndicate of syndicates, I'm trying to understand, because we've had government in this country well before 22 years ago. We've had governments active in this country for 22 years. No break whatsoever, especially at the federal level. So if this has been happening and you're saying it is impossible to happen, and it is happening, what then could be the implication? Are you saying that government agencies are sleeping on the job, or what exactly are you...
No. Sleeping on the job will be very mild. The presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party directly accused the federal government of Nigeria. Directly, at the MBA conference. Directly. And I will tell you with full professional authority, having been in this industry all around the world, Europe, North America, Africa, that I think he's right.
And to add to that...
Sorry, Bukola. When you say you are joining him to accuse the federal government,
yes.
let's decrypt government.
Thank you very much. For example, for marine operations, exports, the Navy provides security. Let us take the case of this MT Heroic Idun. The first thing is that you guys need to appreciate that the level of theft we are talking about is not a 20-liter jerry can. That particular vessel, this recent one of August, is what you classify in IMO, International Maritime Organization, as VLCC, very large crude carrier. It does over 2 million barrels, my brother. Barrels, not liters. 1 barrel is 159 liters. So understand the phenomenal quantities we're talking about. You need to understand that. It's not a mobile phone you put in your pocket and you hide and nobody sees you. Security man does not see you. This is funny.
And as a very quick follow-up to that, you know...
Sorry, just one more sentence. That particular vessel, you know how long a 100 meters dash lane is? That particular vessel is longer than 300 meters. Now, is this something that the Navy cannot see? It's almost half a kilometer in length. It's a very large crude carrier. It carries over 2 million barrels. This one is reported to have capacity for 3 million barrels. Now, the Nigerian Navy is telling childish stories and the media is allowing them to get away with it. It entered our waters, you were not aware. It loaded at a legitimate platform. It left our waters, only to be arrested in Equatorial Guinea. So you are now admitting that the Equatorial Guinea Navy is superior to our capacity. So there are just too many things the media allows these people to get away with at press conferences. They just talk nonsense and we let them get away with it.
But the president is the Minister of Petroleum.
No, but people are talking. For example, the GMD spoke. And to me, from where he spoke, if the energy correspondents had confronted him properly, he would leave the position. And nobody would dare this kind of nonsense. It was the same thing he did when we had the case of the off-spec PMS product. I also said that is impossible based on the routine. It cannot happen.
And the man leading
so the day you compromise a line, the engineers and the operators know that same day. So you can't be telling a story like this.
The man leading the charge in the discovery of this, oil theft has also made some very daring allegations that the route through which this siphoned oil pass are manned by security agents.
Oh, clearly now.
In the persons of,
very
Navy
clearly.
officials and soldiers. So Are you looking forward to seeing any significant prosecution, arrests, and a demand of accountability by this government from those who are involved in line with these allegations?
Well, I can tell you that we have seen so far, I mean, this case of the heroic Idun is since August, this October. So any government that is really interested in investigating anything would have made progress after 2 months. But what we're hearing is stories and fairy tales and childish acts of irresponsibility and even impunity. The very same thing. Why did we as a people, because we need to stop blaming people in power and blame ourselves. Why did we as a people allow them? The more recent one was the Ospec PMS product. Why did we allow them to get away with it? I mean, that one was explained in such a senseless and unprofessional way, and we let them get away with it.
Well, what can people do really?
No, the first thing is if you interrogate it, and then the facts become clearer instead of these dirty stories they tell. For example, in the case of the PMS, the Minister of State says inspection failure. Meaningless to me as a professional. The GMD of NNPC said that the test schedule does not include methanol. Silly, completely silly. Completely unprofessional. Imbecilic. But you can even see the inconsistency in their two stories. Now, I've done this for this country.
Let me now come in there with
So I
this.
know how it is done.
I don't know if
How what is done?
Shipping products. I know how it's done. It's very simple. In any port where you're shipping or terminal, first, if it is Nigeria, you have DSS, you have customs. Now, if a vessel comes to my terminal to load, I have my custody transfer metering systems. The vessel has its own custody transfer metering systems. Then normally you nominate inspectors. Do you understand? And this is the standard worldwide. For example, how many people in Nigeria know that just like your vehicle is registered and has plate number, every vessel, marine vessel, has IMO registration, and they are tracked online real time. Every registered IMO vessel, you can say where it is at any point in time globally, unless it's not IMO registered, in which is a criminal vessel. So it is impossible for these things to happen. I don't know how else to explain it. But they happen because I will say it's a rogue cop situation, and I'm not the only one saying it. Other professionals like myself, like Engineer Alex Ney, has said it. That government better stop telling this kind of silly stories.
Mr. Noble,
Yes.
if this has gone on for a very long time, why now? Why the renewed, why the vigor that we see now in the discovery of illegal pipelines, oil theft, and all of that? Why now?
It's first is that this thing is beneficial. What do I mean is beneficial? If you look at the case of this recent case of Heroic Idun, 3 million barrels, $100 per barrel, that's $300 million. If you do that 3 times, you have $1 billion. So you understand, it's very beneficial. And all the syndicates can get enough money. And all the members of each syndicate can get enough money. So that's number one. Number two, what you tolerate. And that's why I'm saying we need to blame ourselves, because we tolerate all this. These things are not new. We tolerate them. These people call press conferences and they talk nonsense and we let them get away. So we're tolerating it. And then we put it on the front page, making ourselves look stupid and incompetent.
So what should the people do? What should the media do? You know, I mean, from the report that you saw, on the screen just before we came on, Channels Television went much deeper than...
Oh, yes, and did what nobody else has done before. Showed the tap.
That's all the media can do.
No, the media
Bring
can
out
do a
the
lot
issues.
more. No, the media can do a lot more.
They say happiness comes in waves. But beyond this beautiful wave of Yokri River lies the nefarious activity that has bedeviled the nation's economy, one of several scattered across the South-South region. This is our journey into the nation's oil region found predominantly in the Niger Delta area. In 2014, on these waters, my crew and I were crudely held hostage while chasing an aborted gas project in Ogidigbe. 8 years after, we returned to these axes, and our destination is the home of the man regarded as the strong man of Gwaramatu Kingdom, High Chief Government Owezide Epamupolo, aka Tompolo. His mien may not easily give him away considering his perceived capacity. He sits with me and speaks to his commitment to a better Nigeria, his determination to crush any group wanting to truncate federal government's effort at protecting the pipelines, and his optimism on a rebound of crude oil production numbers.
A lot of people are now running helter-skelter because they know that there is nothing in this country concerning the River Rhine that I don't know. The people in Imo, River State, were all brothers and friends. So once we discuss and agree, and that is the more reason why our people in River State, maybe they are going to start any moment from now. Once they are fully engaged, and then we'll now still call the security people to call their people to order. Once that is done, then we are good to go.
He's not done yet. He makes this weighty allegation.
When you are coming from Warri, you see security has put all over the places. If you look at the whole setting, where this illegal bunkering is taking place, if you have one Navy gunboat, one Army gunboat, the extreme end is where the real bunkering is taking place.
To get the job started, about 17,000 locals have been brought, briefed, and deployed across the region. To understand the scale of work, we join these young men who are currently providing intelligence about the diverse and difficult terrain of the region to government security agencies. It's a journey that takes us sometimes into the nights, speeding and bumping through the unending sea waves just to arrive at locations called camps, where vandals operate by making careful but illegal insertions onto crude lines, traversing the soils of the mangrove swamp and beneath the sea, connecting them through pipelines into reservoir tanks constructed in the bushes where they cook the crude to get diesel, kerosene, and empty the residue onto the environment. Wow. Whilst stealing may be occurring in the creeks, an unsuspecting quantity of crude allegedly leaves the country through illegal connections from the creeks directly into the sea where barges load them and sail off. We've just been tipped off of such illegal insertions. Wading through the crude-stained parts, we arrive at the scene and it's time for men to go to work. It will involve all measures just to unearth what is believed to be concealed. After hours of work, what do we have?
Look at the three pipes here. Now you can see the three pipes clear here.
This is the point of a suspected insertion and illegal connection. You can see there are three pipes here. The big one is a national trunk line, which is the Transfocados trunk line, a 24 inches pipeline. Now you see those two pipelines on top of it making a head knock on the pipe. Professionally, this looks unkept. This looks suspicious because it's tapped on top of a traveling crude line. And the question is, why do we have that insertion on a scraped top of a 24 inches pipe, double 6 inches pipe, traveling all the way, and it is suspected to be traveling all the way to the high sea. This is what we have here. Those two lines traveling. those two lines traveling and joining up themselves here, to my mind, it tells me it will give it more pressure. Through several coordinates, the line, according to the security guys, has a discharge point in the sea. So we hop up back into the boat and sail off.
The river that they rough.
So what was this platform?
They will lose this knot and remove it.
Yeah, remove the flash. They keep something here to cover the flow of oil. So if they take it now out, then the oil can flow.
Is this about to become the biggest crude heist in federal government's bids to crush oil thieves? Most definitely, the last shouldn't be heard of what security operatives here suspect is a major unaccounted offshore fleece point of Nigeria's crude oil.